Our next lesson is about fingerpicking. Now you'll recall in session 3 we also learned some more about fingerpicking, how to fatten things up by playing two strings simultaneously and just by swapping things around a little bit, and you can really fatten up your chords and make them sound like there's a lot more going on than there actually is. What we're going to talk about now is a little bit of melody playing. So previously we've sort of played around with the sus4 and sus2 chords and that, but we've never really done anything with them other than just use them for fills and everything. What we're going to do now is actually play a melody literally. Let's look at our first bar of D there. We've got a nice easy D. We're going to do a little pull-off lick using a 16th note there, so we end up with this. So we could just easily repeat that over and over there. But what say, that's a 1-bar phrase. What say we decided to make it into a 2-bar phrase? We wanted to do something a bit different on the second bar. Naturally we'd do something along the same lines. And then the second bar we could do the sus2. But that sounds a little bit lame, so what say we just tried something different again and decided to add a melody to the second beat, or the second bar. So we keep the same phrasing on the chord, we just want to do something so it sounds a bit different, a bit off the beaten track, a bit exciting, something that somebody might want to listen to. Let's try it down. What we're going to do is on the first bar, of course, we'll do the pull-off lick like we just did there. Now on the second bar, we're going to pluck simultaneously with our second and third fingers on the right hand on the first and second strings, and we're going to go through a sus4 to a D to a sus2, back to a D, and then hold the D for 2 eighth notes, and then back to the sus4 for 3 more notes. So that one's going to go like this. We'll try that again very slowly. On the sus4 we pluck the first and second strings. On the D chord we pluck the first and second strings. On the sus2 we pluck the first and second strings, and then back to the D we pluck the first and second strings. This one again we hold for 2 beats, or 2 note values, and then we're back to the sus4, and we're just going to play single strings this time, playing the first, second and third. So that bar goes. So let's try that in a context of a D chord, a 2-bar phrase over D. Sounds a lot more exciting than just repeating the first bar again. So that's the idea of melody playing. We're going to use our fingers, we're going to pluck together to give it a little bit of guts to it and fatten the pieces up, and we're also going to use our sus4s and our sus2s and whatever else we can reach. For example, we could reach the A note up there if we had to, and that's a different melody again, but we're talking about playing with melodies now. Now if we're on the next page there, we can see we've got our 2-bar phrase in D. Now what about joining that together with next other chords? So let's have a look at the next example. It's on a C chord. So if we play a C chord, just a standard C chord, what we're going to do with the right hand is previously we've always made the first, second and third fingers always pluck the first, second and third strings. What we're going to do is take all 3 and raise them up 1 string, just like this. So, and that's a technique that I use an awful lot. You can really fatten up chords there, you add extra notes to it. But for the purpose of this lick, that's what we're going to do here. So the third finger is now going to play second string, second finger third string, and the first finger the fourth string, and the bass of course will handle the bass. Let's have a look at our lick there. It's nice and easy. That's the first half of the bar. Then we've got a nice little hammer on from the open second string, and hammer it on the first fret, and then the open first string, and then back again. So we end up with a that's an interesting first bar. Now what we're going to do in the same style as what we did on the D is we're going to add a bit of a melody to that on the second bar. So let's have a look at what we've got there. We're going to put our 4th finger down here and go up to the 5th fret, plucking the second and third strings at the same time with the second and third fingers on our right hand. And then back here, and then here, and then here, and then here. So let's go through it slowly. We've got the open third string and the 5th fret on the second string together. Then we've got the open third string and the 3rd fret on the second string together. Then we've got the open third string and the 1st fret on the second string together. Then both of the second and the third strings open together. Then we're back to the 3rd fret on the second string, and as well as the open third string together. Then the 1st fret second string and the 3rd string open together. And then just the open second on its own, and the open third on its own. And we end up with this lick here. We try and combine that with our first bar on the C. Interesting sound there. So it's something a little bit different, a little bit off the beaten track again. Let's try and combine the two of them. Let's do the one bar of D, or the two bars of D, the two bar D phrase, and then the two bar C phrase. See what it sounds like. Very, very interesting now. Starting to get quite exciting what we're playing there. And we're not doing anything really different there. We're just sort of trying to invoke some melodies in there with our playing by using two strings at once and two fingers at once, and moving our fingers from the first, second and third strings to the second, third and fourth strings, depending on what we're playing there. So what you can do is that same thing, you then add a G chord to it and see what you come up with there. And it would sound quite interesting altogether. So maybe you could try a lick on the G. That could be our first bar, and maybe the second bar could go. Just a copy of what we're doing on the C, just on the first and second strings only. And you can really start to create some nice music there. So do work on this finger picking. It's a very good idea, and it's very good to get your finger picking really rocketing along. Instead of just playing standard old arpeggios over standard old chords, we can start doing some really interesting things there.